Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Dark Video Cuts. Gonna do a quick tutorial in Affinity Designer. This is how I make my thumbnails. We're gonna cut out an image. It's not the most awesome thing to watch, but I do all this raw because I already edited a bunch of stuff. So let's just get right into it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. So I've got my this is my Heat 101 area. This is where I do all my thumbnails for my Heat 101 channel on YouTube, and this is pretty much where I do everything. So I'm going to show you just straight from an actual empty panel or board how I cut things out. So I'm just going to go open, and I'm going to find the file that I want to work with. So I'd like to take screenshots directly from our video. So I made a little folder that says screenshots. We're gonna go into screenshots, and I believe this is the one right here. So we're gonna open him up. No, it's not. Let me go back real quick here. Let me find the right one here. That helps. So we're gonna go open, and we're gonna find the right one. This might be it. I think this is it right here. Okay, that's the one. So I want to cut myself out of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and actually I'm not sure if this is going to cut out transparent. So let me just do a quick test, and we're going to see if it does, and it will. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of all this, Alt Z, Alt Z. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose our pen tool here. And now we're working with our pen tool. I'm gonna hold start, and I'm gonna use my scroll wheel to zoom in real close. But before I do that, I'm gonna go into my, just gonna move that real quick. I'm gonna go into my colors and contrast, because right now it's really hard to see what's going on. So I'm gonna drop my contrast down on this just a little bit here so we can see a little bit better around the edges, because there's a lot of dark shadows and highlights happening here. Okay, once I've got that, I'm going to click and hold my Alt Option key, and I'm going to scroll in. I've got some nasty food on my face there. And we are going to start cutting out the image. So what I do is I come into this right here. This is the smart mode. Now you can do it this way, and you can make curves, but it's not the easiest thing to work with. So this makes curves happen as I go, and I can adjust them later. So I'm just gonna click on that smart tool. I'm gonna go to my stroke, and I'm gonna make sure my stroke is set transparent and my fill is set transparent, and now we're ready to go. So I'm just gonna zoom in to a decent area. This looks about right, and what we wanna do is we wanna cut just inside the color. We don't want to have it out here. If it's out here, you're gonna see that black. I'll show you real quick. When you go to cut my face out, this will be clean, and then when you get to here, this is gonna be black, and we don't want that. You'll see this. So we definitely don't want that to happen. I'm gonna Alt Z and kill all that, and we're gonna keep going. And this does take a little bit of time. And if you don't like anything, again, just hit Alt Z and get rid of it. It'll undo your last action. I actually just cut a bunch of stuff out that was, it was pretty much all wrong, and I had to undo like 50 different points and redo everything. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can do it smooth. See, I didn't like that. You can actually, you don't have to keep all this. So you can kind of get rid of some of this, and it shouldn't show up too much inside of a thumbnail. But I'm gonna just try and quickly go through this. So right here, you see there's a space here that I don't like. It's flat, and I don't like that. I'm gonna hit A, just the letter key, and it's gonna pull up my node tool, which is right here, or you can click right here. And I'm just gonna click a little spot. It'll show up a little spot here. Click on that and just throw a little curve on there so it looks a little bit better. And I can take any of these points using my node tool and just roll right over to get rid of some of the background. But if you just want to be inside the object. You don't want to be outside of it here. You want to make sure that you're inside the object, or else you will definitely see those colors, especially if you have a white background or a really light background. It's going to affect the quality of your image. So make sure, and I'm kind of working with studio lighting here, so it's kind of tough, but make sure you just go just inside. You don't want to go out here, or else you're going to see those different contrasts on the image. So make sure you stay inside there. I'm trying to use my hat here to block out some of this brightness from my lights. And I'm just doing this quickly, but it should come out okay. I've done this quite a few times, so I kind of have a general idea of what needs to happen. Now when it gets into the hair and stuff like that, it can get a little more complicated. You're going to want to take a little more time, be more patient, and really zoom in to follow a strand of hair or whatever it is that you're working with. So this is where it's going to get a little bit difficult because I have some contrast issues. Everything's real dark in my background, so I'm just going to wing it here the best I can. That looks pretty good. Oh, you see right here is where my shirt stops, so I'm just going to hit Alt-Z. And I'm just going to take it right to where my shirt stops. And then I'm going to hit A, and I'm going to pull up that node tool just to give it a little more smoothness and fix that angle right there. I didn't really like that. So another thing you can do when you're doing all this is you can actually change this point. If you hit A again, bring up your node tool, and you click on that, you can make it a sharp angle. So now it's sharp. The other way to do that, I'm just going to hit Alt-Z, take it back. The other way to do that is just to zoom in and just manually move it to where it looks good, where you feel good about it. Just remember that we're so close right now that you're not even going to barely see that point, but it is going to make a difference in the sharpness of your video. All right, let's get this going here. So now you gotta think, do you want this in your image? I might have to, just because you can see where my table cuts off, and I know my thumbnails will usually include a little bit below that point that's at. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this out too. And I know there's a different way to do this. There's a magic wand tool like in Photoshop and stuff like that. I just don't use it. This is the way I do it. If there's a better way that you like to do, let me know in the comments. But this seems to be the best. And when you get into like After Effects and stuff like that, I've seen some videos. I'm not that good at it, but I've seen some videos where you have to actually use this pen tool, or I think it's a lasso tool in Photoshop. I'm just going to bring it to the edge of my table here, and I'm going to put a little click there. It doesn't really need to be clean because I know this part here is going to be covered up. And then I'm going to go straight across to, let's go, I think all this is going to be cut out, so I'm just going to go straight across here. Bring my table, all this should be out of the image. It might go to about here, but that's going to be about it on my video thumbnail. Most of that should be cut off. So we're just going to keep cutting. Get in a little bit here. And back in, go in and out, so you can really pay attention to what you're cutting out. Sometimes you don't know, like this here is part of my shirt. If I would have went up here and did it, it'd look weird. So you want to make sure you don't miss any details like that, because because it will definitely look weird. And I'm just gonna go all the way up here. It'll look smoother, but still have a little bit of curve to it. Make sure if you're new, you hit that subscribe. Let me know if there's something you want to see. Let me know if there's something I can try to help you with. Again, if you do this differently using the same program, let me know. I'll check it out. Put a link to a video in my comments, and we'll take a look. Definitely would love to learn with you guys. All right, so that looks a little wonky. Yeah, a little bit. Just gonna pull him over like that with that node tool, and then hit A, back to the pen tool. And if you go too far up, it will cut. So you need to make sure, once you get to know how it works, you'll figure it out for yourself. I know I'm here to do a tutorial, but man, there's just so much I've learned just cutting so many different images out, how it responds, how it works, how it looks with certain things. Just make sure you're following the image. Sometimes it'll feel like it's off or doesn't seem quite right, but just follow the image. Make sure you're following your image. Don't try and like go weird with it and make, you know, take a couple inches off your waist. Sometimes that can look really bad. So just make sure you're doing the best you can to follow your image. Here's where it's gonna get a little rough, because I got bright lights in my eyes. I can see it there, and I can see it. There's that. So I'm gonna go right about here. That's okay. Right there. And now it looks a little bit better. Now I can see what I'm doing. Like, I can make this smooth, which I do sometimes. I'll do it for this video. I'll just bring this back, kind of smooth this out a little bit. It'll make the hat look a little cleaner. But if you overdo it, you can make your image look weird. So keep that in mind. Do your best to follow the image. And again, I'm just going A and then A again to switch between my node and that other tool. And Alt Z if you have any issues. Alt Z is your friend. And that works for Premiere too. Alt Z works on a lot of stuff. I've actually done Alt Z just on my Mac. With my Mac, just like I'd moved a file and I didn't want to. And I think it actually works on that too. I'm just gonna fix this with my node tool. Smooth that out just a little bit. And once we move this, you can actually fix any issues you don't like also. I'm gonna make him a point. I'm gonna change up here, I'm gonna convert that to a straight, an angle, hard angle. Then I'm going to carry on. And sometimes it'll if you come off of your curve, your curve that you're creating, because right now we're creating a curve right here. That's what this is. And then this is the image that we're working with. So make sure you're paying attention to those layers, because we're going to be using those in just a minute. My buddy Roger showed me how to do this. He gave me the basic rundown from Hot Dang Show. He showed me how to kind of move some stuff around, and I just kind of went in and started figuring the rest out for myself. But just once you get things cut out, you'll learn, you know, just play with it, have fun. If you aren't having fun, this probably isn't for you. So that looks pretty good, I think. We're gonna go ahead and turn this into a transparent image by taking this background, clicking and holding, and bringing it underneath the curve. Not to the side, not to this little line, not above, but right here you'll see that little blue line show up under the curve. and then just let go, and there we go. And you can see your curve right here too once you click that down, that it's inside of that curve. So now I'll go through and I'll take a look and see how it looks. Click on the arrow and it'll show you if there's any weird bumpiness to it or anything on the outsides that you just don't like. I already don't like this. It's natural, but let's mess with that for a second. So I'm just going to pull up my node tool. I'm going to drop that down and I'm going to bring up my curve. Click on my curve here. Actually, I didn't need to drop that down, sorry. And I'm just going to clean this up just a little bit. I'm just going to bring you away and I'm going to bring you about like that. Yeah, I like that. That'll work. So I'm just kind of clicking, looking at it, seeing if it's okay. It looks pretty good. Looks like that shadow came out okay. I don't see anything around the edges popping out, sticking out like a sore thumb. You can see on the face, it's got a little bit of darkness there, but when you back it up, you don't see it. So I could clean that up just a little bit if it was going to be, that was the only thing you were going to see on a transparent image. But I think we're good. So now we're just going to export this. We're going to go to File, we're going to go to Export, and we are going to do a PNG right here, and we're going to just hit Export. We're going to name it Dark Taco. Sounds good to me. And then I'm going to pull up my main board. So I'll show you guys later in the future how I created this board. This is where I do everything here. It's a mess. It's my mess. I know where everything's at, but this is, I'm just holding, again, I'm holding the start option on Mac and using my scroll wheel. And this is what I've created so far. And I'm just going to drop me into this. And then later I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut myself out. Normally I would just use this here and just cut out here all of my workboard, but for this video I did it inside of a whole new project. Because if I would have just dropped it in here, it'd have been like, what is all that? Unless you know the program, which you may. I cut these tacos out already. That was a nightmare and a half. Took me a really long time to do that. And there we go. Let me get rid of you because I just brought it in twice. And then we're just going to shrink this up real small. We're going to bring it onto here, and there I am. One thing that I didn't do before I exported this, I'm just going to get rid of all this because I don't like this. So I'm going to go back to my project here. And I'm going to blow this up a little bit. So we're going to go to that curve. Now right now if you move this, it'll get all weird. So don't do that. Alt Z. I'm just going to take on the width here. There's probably a better way to do this, but I don't know it yet. I'm just going to take the width and I'm going to click on the W. Excuse me. I'm going to lock it down first with this link, and then I'm just going to open it up a little bit because it's so tiny in that square. But I want it to be a little bit more. Move him to about the middle. Again, normally I do this in my own little square, so it's a little different. We're going to export this again. Taco. Replace it, and then we're going to go back into my board and bring me in. Shrink it down, bring me up. Oh crud, I did it again. Alright, this is the way it goes when you're doing raw footage. So let's pull that back up and let's fix that contrast because it looks like dookie. So we're just going to set it all back to 0. There we go. One more time. Export. And mistakes happen. That's what happens. You'll see. Pull up my board, and then hopefully it's good now for the third time. Third time's a charm. shrink it down and bring it over in. Bring it on in. So there we go. And actually, the size of that's about right. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, that'll work. We'll see how hers cuts out, because I may put her on one side or the other. Sometimes if I do a screenshot and her elbow is inside of mine and it's cut off because of my arm, I'll move me forward or back just depending on what's going on. But right there looks pretty good. I may mess with the contrast a little bit on it, and then I'm just going to take it and I'm going to pull it behind the text. So that looks alright. I'm good with that. And then she'll go right here on the side of me. And maybe I'll mess around with the tacos or something a little bit. But that is how you do a PNG. And once you have that, you can go into your downloads or wherever you save it at, and you can pull it up. And you can do anything you want with it. You can actually cut somebody's face out, kind of curve around the chin, and like overlay it onto people. There's smudge tools to make it so the edges aren't looking so sharp, and you can overlay it for like funny pictures and stuff like that. But that's the basic way that I create a PNG cutout of myself and Bella for our other videos and for our thumbnails. These are all different ones that I've cut out of the bottle. And there's the tacos. That was a nightmare to cut out. I went in deep on that one. But there it is. So thank you very much for hanging out. Really appreciate it, guys. I'm going to keep cranking these videos out. Help me out. Give a like, give a subscribe, and let me know again if you want to see something or if you need to learn something. This can be used on Photoshop too. They're just called different things. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.